I'm fascinated about this 8 days of burning of the menorah when they had only the oil for one day. So this miracle really intrigued me, and especially it intrigued me because this story came in front of me after I did this video yesterday titled eighth day, and the inspiration came from this message of Christmas that I was studying, or I was contemplating upon, or meditating, of the eighth day when Jesus was circumcised, and we saw into it that what it means about restarting or having a new beginning. Now, when I came across this story, I had heard this a while ago, but the history really fascinated me. We go back in time 200 years before Christ, and the story is about the Maccabean revolt, or the Maccabees. Now, at that time, the Hellenistic people were ruling the nation of Israel, and over Jerusalem the Greek people were ruling, and Alexander the Great had conquered the whole world, the whole civilized world at that time, but he died very young, and when he died, four of his generals got all the regions, and the region that came, the Israel region, came under the general named Seleucid. So they were the Seleucid armies, or the Seleucid empire, or the kingdom, or whatever. And there was the king Antiochus Epiphanes III, which was he was a nice-ish king, and he allowed the Jews to do what they wanted. But his son Antiochus Epiphanes IV was a tyrannical king, and he enforced the Hellenistic religion on the Jewish people, and he wanted the people to follow and do as they were doing. And we see that so much so that he forced the worship of the Jewish or of the Greek gods, and he erected an altar, he erected a statue of Zeus in the temple. Yes, in the holy temple, he desecrated the temple, and he was offering unclean animals like pigs in the temple. And this was so hurtful for the Jews are very religious people, and especially at that time, and when they had been under oppression, and something like this is very, very hurtful and very, very painful for them. Desecrating the temple, desecrating the items of the temple, and offering unclean sacrifices, and their blood everywhere. So this was a very difficult and a hurtful time, and they were forcing the people to adhere to these Hellenistic beliefs and to worship Zeus and other Greek gods. But there was one small tribe, the Maccabees, and one priest who said no, he's not going to do it. And then his son later on, the Judas, he was leading these people, and they were really, really a small minority when it comes to the Greek army or the Seleucid army. So they were really, really outnumbered. They were really less in number, and the odds were really against them. And even though the odds were against them, somehow they were able to succeed in defeating the Seleucid army, and they retook, or they recaptured the temple. And after recapturing the temple, what did they do? They rededicated the temple, and they were getting rid of all the idols that were in the temple. And as they are getting rid of all the temples, the idols in the temple, they found oil to light the menorah. So the menorah was supposed to be lit perpetually, meaning that it was supposed to be lit all the time, and there was a special desecrated olive oil that was supposed to be used to light these candles. So it was not just any oil that they could have. It was a special consecrated oil. And while cleaning up and taking care of the temple, they found a jar of oil that they could use to light the menorah. But they only found one canister of this oil, or this jar of this oil, and that was enough just for one day. But in hopes, and as they were so filled up with the Spirit, they lit up that menorah with for that one day, and they started to use or to make more oil, and miraculously it lasted for 8 days, right in time for them to have made more oil to be able to light the menorah after that 8 days. So we see a miraculous hand of God in this whole event and in lighting the menorah. Now, we as Christians do not celebrate the Jewish festivals and the Jewish, those the same traditions and rituals. But it doesn't mean that we cannot learn from it. It doesn't mean that they have lost their significance. It doesn't mean that there are no specific lessons that we have to embrace from that. And we see that Jesus himself celebrated this. And interestingly enough, right? So there were no scriptures. There is the quiet time 400 years before Jesus. So there were no scriptures after the last book of the Old Testament. And this story, because it's 200 years before Christ, is not mentioned anywhere in the Old Testament. But Jesus did celebrate this event or this feast, which is found in the Gospel of John chapter 10 and verse 22. Now it was the feast of dedication in Jerusalem. Now this is what they did. They rededicated the second temple, and that's why it's called the feast of dedication. It was the winter. Jesus walked in the temple in Solomon's porch, and the Jews surrounding him asked him, "How long are you going to keep us in doubt? If you are Christ, tell us plainly." Jesus said, "I told you, and you do not believe. The works that I do in my Father's name, they will bear witness of me." So now we see that Jesus was there to celebrate this Hanukkah and this rededication of the temple and the miraculous burning of the menorah for 8 days. Give us this sense, give us this feeling, and give us this lesson today as we are in the end of 2024 and a new beginning. A new year is beginning. A new era began. There was this tyrannical force or overpowering of the Jewish people, but a small people who would not give in, who said that we will not worship, we will not bow down to idols. But they, even though they were outnumbered, even the society, even the powers were against them, they said we will do only what is right in the sight of the Lord, and they rededicated to themselves. And this 8th day of burning of the light of the menorah represents a new beginning, a new chapter in their lives as they rededicated the temple, and they can start to worship the Lord again, which they had been away from, or they could not worship before. So now what is the Lord telling you and me? The Lord is saying that this is the time, even though we might be outnumbered as believers, and you might say that the world is doing the things in a certain way, and I am sort of conformed, or I am sort of forced to go along with the flow and do what the world is doing. But the Lord is saying, even though you might be outnumbered, do the thing that I have called you to do, and I will do the miracle that is needed to do in your life, so that you can achieve the impossible, like the Maccabees defeating the Seleucid, the Greek armies. The Lord is saying, do not be afraid of what is against you. Your financial problems, your health problems, your family problems, I don't know which country where you are, you might be facing your own demons and your own difficulties, and the difficulties might look like they might be too big for you to handle. But the Lord is saying to you, brothers and sisters, through this video today, that do not fret what is in front of you, for he that is in you is much greater than he that is in the world. And the power that the Lord has given you, if you are in line with the vision that the Lord has given you, that he will be able to do and fulfill his promise in your life in the name of Jesus. So 2020 year, make this year the best year of your life, and that is what I intend to do. I intend to dedicate my life as the temple was dedicated to the Lord. I intend to dedicate my life to the Lord. for 2025 in a much consecrated way, much more consecrated way than what I have done in the past. And I am going to experience an abundant blessings of the Lord. And you too, brothers and sisters, with me are going to experience the same blessings. I hope 2025 is going to be an amazing life in the year in your life. And you can bless me as well by liking this video and sharing with someone, and also subscribing to our channel. God bless you.